Welcome back. Today's video we're going to be going over the old school, often maligned Wasser 1063. And what we're going to do in today's video is we're not going to do a standard review because Wasser rifles are known to, or have a reputation, I should say, having poor build quality. But what we're going to do today is we're going to go over these rifles and show you what to look for, what to inspect for, to ensure that you're getting a well-built one, or at least one that's built well enough to run. In my experience, I've had many Wassers, and you guys have probably seen several of them here on the channel. And the ones that run well are just as good in AK in terms of performance as any AK on the market. But anyway, we'll do a little bit more shooting here and then get into what to look for here in these rifles. First thing most people are going to look for when they're inspecting a Wasser AK is going to be the front sight post here. There's a couple reasons it could be canted. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I'm going to show you how to inspect it. Basically, the first thing you want to do, remove your top cover, just like we're going to do a field trip here. Remove the recoil spring, remove your bolt carrier, so that way you know the rifle is completely safe. Next, you're going to turn it up, and I'll show you here from a new camera angle and show you what to look for. Trying to get this angle on camera might be relatively difficult, but I'm going to explain what I want you to see here. The reason we took the guts out of it is that you know the rifle is actually safe. But what you want to do is look down from the muzzle end, which I know is something you generally don't want to do. I fully understand that. But without a bolt mode carrier, you're good to go. So look down. And what you want to look at here is your front sight and your rear sight. And ensure that when you're looking over the top of it, that the gas tube is straight and aligned with it. If it's not, that's not necessarily a problem. What you're going to see here is this one. I'm not sure again how well this actually looks on camera. I'm trying to move it around to get you guys the right angle here so you can actually see what I'm talking about. This one is slightly canted to the left. I mean slightly, like a millimeter, which is why if you look at it, I have this rifle zeroed here, and you'll see it is slightly off center. That's because of the cant on the front sight. Now, is that an issue? Absolutely not. Absolutely not an issue. If it is canted to the point that you will still be able to zero and get your rifle zeroed without issue, without having the front sight all the way over or all the way on either side, it's not an issue. These are factory built rifles. They were built that way. The front sights were installed that way. They passed some sort of inspection, theoretically anyway. But if you buy it from Century, which most of the rifles are going to come with, they're going to come with a 1-year warranty. So if you buy it new from Century, and it is canted to the point that you cannot zero that rifle, you can't zero it. They have a 1-year warranty. They will fix it. I had the Polish Tantal that you guys have seen in my past review. That was the case. I sent it back in. I think it cost me like $9 to ship it to them because I'm relatively close to where they are. But they fixed it, sent it back, and actually cleaned it, which was nice. But they did fix it. But my point is, most of these rifles, even if they're canted a little bit, which again, this is very minor, you're good to go. If it's canted to the point that you can't zero it, that is bad. You do not want that. That could lead to some issues, because obviously if that's canted that bad, then your gas port could be canted as well. A gas block, excuse me, could be canted as well. So that's what you want to look for when you're looking at your front sight. Next thing we're going to talk about is mag wobble. Basically, a lot of these rifles, particularly the ones that were imported during the first assault weapons ban, hopefully there'll never be a second one. Basically, they were imported as single stack rifles. So after the ban was lifted, they were opened up by basically by people sometimes who really didn't know what the hell they were doing, and opened them up way too wide. There's rumor out there that if a rifle doesn't have dimples on there, it's not going to be as tight in the mag well. Honestly, I don't think that's true. I've never noticed a difference one way or another. In my experience, it is the way the mag well is actually opened up. Anyway, moving on. Show you what it looks like here. We're going to take, this is just a East German magazine here, put it in the rifle. It's a little weird doing it upside down, but it'll probably look better on camera. Alright, and now what I'm going to show you here is that wobble. You guys can hear it when that magazine's loaded and it's wobbling around. It does make some noise as you're moving through the woods. A lot of people complain about that, but the wobble that you're seeing here is not bad at all. That wobble will not cause malfunctions. It will not cause anything to function any differently on your rifle. So what you see there is about the max you want to see. Now, just to show you that a lot of times it really is just tolerances within the AK. We'll show you here, Russian waffle pattern magazine. Insert this one in there. And you can see there, that thing is snug as can be. So, just got to be aware of that as well. This one here is a Circle 10 mag, from the Bulgarian ones. So like I said, it's a little weird to do upside down. There you go. And that one's nice and snug as well. So same rifle, same mag well. You just got something to be aware of when you're checking them out. Bring a couple different types of magazines. And here you have a US Palm, very tight as well. So even with this, that wouldn't impede function whatsoever. So that's your mag wall. You want to make sure it's not excessively wobbling. If it's wobbling to the point that you think these feed lamps aren't going to get up, aren't going to allow those bullets to feed in the ramp with as much as it's moving, then you need to be concerned. Next thing we're going to cover is the carrier binding on the hammer or in the gas tube here. So basically take your top cover off when you grab your rifle in the store or wherever you're checking it out. Run your carrier back, release it all the way back, release. If it goes forward, that's a good thing. This Wasser here is relatively new. It's a relatively new rifle, probably only has about 300 rounds through it, maybe 400, so it's not quite broken in yet. And what I mean by that is you'll see something if I pull it back and slowly try to let it go forward, the carrier will get hung up on the hammer. That is completely normal. There is nothing wrong with that. It is not a problem because when the rifle is firing, it is not going in slow motion like I just did. And with use, that will actually decrease and probably go away over time. This rifle as well does not bind in the carrier. I mean, bind in the gas tube, excuse me. The carrier does not bind in there. What I mean by that is you can see here, if you look up here, where the piston is going into the gas tube here, once it gets past that hammer and clears it, try to do it slow. Once it clears it, it freely moves back and forth all the way through. If you see, like in this area, if you're getting binding, or if you're noticing marks on the inside of your gas tube here, that's definitely something you're going to be concerned about. That's not a good thing. That means, generally speaking, if it's binding up here in your piston, that the gas block is probably installed poorly, I should say, not straight. So it's definitely something you want to look out for. It doesn't mean your gun isn't going to function, but it means there's a possibility it will have some issues, that's for sure. Another thing we want to check out here is the way the stock fits in with the rear of the receiver. This stock here is good. You'll see that little gap there. That is not an issue. It's really not at all. You'll see these little gaps here all the way around. What you actually really want to be looking for on that is not the gaps per se, because it's an AK. Loose tolerances are okay, as you'll hear out there on the internet. It's true. But what you want to look for is, like on this one, the gap is relatively the same on top as it is on the bottom. What you don't want to see is like a huge gap up here and a really small gap here. Generally, that's going to mean your rear trunnion is kind of jacked up. So, and misaligned. It could be misaligned, which could cause some issues when the bolt carrier is going back and forth and firing. So that's what you want to see, a relatively straight up and down gap. Obviously, no gap looks nicer, it's more aesthetically appealing, but what you're really looking for is discrepancies in that gap. The last thing you should check out when you're looking at these rifles is check for trigger slap. Now, a lot of the earlier rifles that were imported into the US, particularly the Century rifles, were imported with Combock triggers. Combock triggers being made for full auto AKs, when you convert them to semi-auto, do have trigger slap. So what you do is retract it, make sure the weapon is unloaded. And you're going to keep the rifle on fire, pull the trigger, hold it to the rear, like that, cycle the action, release, and slowly let out. You should feel smoothness and then a single click. That's what you should feel. If you feel like a click and then another click, or like as if there's like a bouncing, if you will, off your finger, that means the rifle has a trigger that's causing trigger slap, and that's the term. Does it hurt anything? I mean, no, it's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to cause your rifle to malfunction. It's not going to cause you to be inaccurate, things like that. But what it will do is annoy the crap out of you. So if you can avoid it, you should. Obviously, you can just drop a Tapco G2 trigger in there, and it will fix the issue, and for about $30. But if you can avoid it, like I said, you might as well. So that's what you're looking for there for trigger with trigger slap. As always, guys, I hope I answered some of the questions that you might have had. I know a lot of guys who are new to the AK platform and don't know a lot about the rifles here are looking for what am I looking for when I pick up one of these? I've heard all the internet horror stories. Well, that's what you're looking for. The rifles that we saw here today, both this one and the one that we had out here earlier, I inspected them before buying, so they're not terrible. I can't really show you what a terrible rifle looks like. They're both good rifles. They have cold hammer forged Combock barrels, very durable rifles, durable parts. They're all the things that AKs are supposed to be if they're built properly. But anyway, and now you guys know what to look for and how to build them if they're built properly. As always, guys, hopefully I answered some of your questions. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to post in the comments section. You can also post over at my Facebook page. But thanks for watching again. We'll see you in the next video.